Warahmatullahi Ta'ala Barakatuh, and good evening everyone. So I hope that you are doing well. So for today class, we're going to discuss on planning for action research. Okay, if you can remember last week, we have discussed a lot on how to identify the topic or the research area in education. So we look at the gap analysis, okay, from the real situation, okay, and how we can achieve the expected situation or desired outcome. So in between these two things, there are gaps. Okay, so we need to look at it, okay, and find what kind of issues related and what we wanna do for that research. So in this week, we're gonna look at the planning for action research, okay, focusing on literature review. Okay, so in planning for action research, okay, of course, the first thing that we need to do is identifying and limiting a topic, okay, gathering information related to the topic, and reviewing related literature. So early stages are very, very crucial in any research project because it will design, okay, what kind of research that we gonna carry out, or it will lay the groundwork for all that follows, including the methodology, the data collection, okay, how we discuss the finding, and so on. So Megan Manfry in 2021 suggests that Asian research must follow some maps. Okay, so it's kind of like a process to complete the map. Okay, so number one, okay, is referred to A. Okay, we identify what is the problem or issue should be addressed in our classroom or in education. And then we move to B. Okay, after we brainstorm or we jot down all the ideas, okay, we can go to B, okay, to look at the theoretical framework or to propose the theoretical framework. But look at C. Okay, when you look at C, it's referred to the review of the literature, and the arrow between the review of the literature in this box actually was across other process. Okay, so review of the literature is very, very important part, especially in identifying the problem or issue, or to make sure that we are very confident to do this kind of issue, and to identify the theoretical framework, and it also helps us to design the research question and to guide us in data collection. After that, it is a cyclical process. Okay, after you have the research question, you're collecting data, and you're gonna look at the findings, the result, and discuss upon the findings. So in this week, we're going to look at the reviewing relevant literature. I know that you have prepared the proposal and you have read lots of things, okay, about the issues or the ideas. But for those who want to change it, no problem. Okay, you still have time, okay, to start with the new issues, or you want to focus on the specific issues or ideas. Okay. So, what's reviewing relevant literature, or why we need to do the literature review? Okay, the main point is to clarify the problem and determine the best course of action for addressing that problem. Okay, so we need to really clarify. Okay, does it really become a problem? Okay, the issue we propose is a problem, and what is the best way, okay, to address that problem, okay, to show or to give an evidence about that problem. So literature review actually is referred to the process of examining all the research articles, all the documents, all the sources that related to your topic, in order to, number one, identify a topic, okay, narrow down the focus of a topic. For example, online learning is a big area right now. Okay, what kind of issue you want to focus? For example, the attention span of international of student in online learning. So it's become very, very focus issue. So if you want to get it narrow more, okay, attention span for who? For example, children, okay, children, because of what? Because they cannot spend a lot of time in front of the gadget and so on. They have a very short attention span and so on. So it's kind of like help us to narrow down the focus of topic. Okay, help us to gather information related to research design, because a lot of research, a lot of article we gonna look at it. Okay, have used a different variety research design, and help us to locate example of data collection and analysis technique. Okay, for novice researcher or novice teacher, sometimes we don't know how to do it. So it is better for us, or it is good for us to have an example of data collection. We can follow it step by step, or we can adapt the technique, okay, in order to achieve our research objective. And of course, reviewing relevant literature is very related. Okay, it helps you to connect with the previous study. Okay, what does it mean? It's kind of like we continue the existing research. Okay, to look at the different area, different point. Okay, this is how it can connect your project to what others have done before you. Okay, and it is important to set parameters of study, and it also provides rationale for the topic and methods of a study. So sometimes research is not like when we do it for the first time, or the researcher do it for the first time, it's going to be like very accurate. So it must have like some limitations. So when we look at the limitations, okay, it will help us to make the better research in the future. So there are two possible sources of literature review. Number one, we call it as primary sources, and number two is secondary sources. Okay, primary sources refer to the first hand, okay, or first sources, like government publication, policy document, research paper, dissertation. Okay, that's very origin, and of course it's referred to the conference presentation and so on. So secondary sources refer to the materials that use a primary sources as a reference. For example, like books, okay, we cite other research articles, and we write it again, okay, in a textbook. So class, in reviewing your relevant literature, okay, we must seek in scholarly sources of information. So like I said, we have two sources, okay, but instead scholarly sources, yeah. So there are a variety of method locating related literature. Okay, we can, for research article or journal and so on, we can get the primary sources from a lot of databases. For example, like we can use ERIC platform, Google Scholar, ProQuest, and other search engines. Okay, for example, like ERIC refer to Educational Resources Information Center. So it's very updated. Okay, there are more than 1.1 million citation, more than 100,000 full text articles that we can search in ERIC. Okay, of course this one we are common with Google Scholar. Okay, we can explore a lot of things. Okay, the primary sources and secondary sources, we can explore related works. Okay, the number of citations, the authors, who are the authors, and publication. So many search options: search by authors, or search by date, search by relevant, and so on. And another way, you can using a Boolean search. There's a technique, okay, by using and, no, okay, the stroke, the strike symbol, the plus, okay, the use of or R words, and so on, to find the relevant literature. And of course, when we have a lot of materials, okay, we can use technology to enhance our search. Okay, maybe some of you are familiar with this one. Is we call it Mendeley. Okay, it's a reference manager. We can use the Google Drive too. Okay, to save all the articles and so on. And if we have collected all the data and articles, we can organize and manage it by using qualitative data analysis software, because it can help us arrange the articles and find the important points from the research, such as NVivo or Atlas T. So class, actually it's very very important to identify scholarly literature, because lots of materials, okay, it's can be a sources of literature, but does it scholarly, okay, or does it not? So there are many things to be aware. For example, like, okay, you need to identify either it's empirical research articles, okay, or it's just an opinion. Okay, the objectivity of related literature, okay, does it suit with the research area, okay, and the timeliness of the literature you locate, okay, and about the primary versus secondary sources, okay. So it is better to use the primary sources, okay, beside of secondary sources, but secondary sources is also very valuable to us. We can have the second opinion and so on. And another way we can set the parameter for scholarly literature. For example, okay, the aspect of temporal aspect, okay, we can filter the article, okay, we can find the articles that only in the last 5 or 10 years. So it will show the relevancy, and we'll focus on the content area, what kind of area that we want to focus, okay. We can set the parameter for our sample, like age or grade of the participant, okay, for example, like middle school classroom or primary school students, and so on. And lastly, what is the research subject? For example, it just girls only, okay, it just for teachers, or refer to the struggling readers, or refer to the special children, and so on. So class, there are a lot of types of literature that should be considered or to be considered. So we know that research has been conducted in a variety way in a lot of areas. So some types of literature that we can consider is, number one is policy-based literature. So policy-based literature is something related to the government. Okay, it's an official document that outline the educational policy. Okay, for example, like our education blueprint. Okay, it's a policy-based research. Okay, it's also referred to the initiative launched by organization or researcher that become accepted practice. So actually, there are lots of research organization out there, okay, and they come out with a lot of reports, okay, and the documents that launch this initiative. For example, the statistic, okay, the speeches, the reports, okay, which can be very useful to be reviewed. Okay, second type of literature is theoretical literature. So theoretical literature refer to the theoretical idea. Okay, so you can locate your research within the appropriate theoretical literature, okay, because it will help you with the rigor and validity of your study, and will help identify any theoretical views that underlie your topics. For example, if you want to learn about, if we want to discuss about morality, we can use the theory of Lawrence Kohlberg's, okay. So what kind of moral value or moral level that our student have, okay, so it will guide our discussion and also our focus in the research. Okay, the third type of literature is applicable literature. So applicable literature refer to the first two types, okay, the policy based and theoretical, and then how it was applied in some situation. So applicable literature mainly come from journal related to your specific field of study, and you can examine literature in your specific area. Okay, so when you're using the search engine and database, okay, start as specific as possible with your topic or related concept. For example, in Google Scholar, we can just search directly about the title of our topics, okay, the proposed idea. Okay, we don't have to just search the first layer by layers, okay, for example, layer of education, layer of teacher education, and so on. So we can just type, okay, the teacher communication with the special education in the classroom, okay, so it's very applicable. And last